Good morning, everybody. Firstly, thank you for observing the 1 minute silence in support of our NHS friends, colleagues and family members. This morning, we're going to hear from Gordon Webb, Sales Director of idibu. You can see that on your screen. Gordon's been around the industry for a long time and is at the front line of sales in our industry. And one of the things he's been asked a lot is why is now a good time to look at the tech stack. So he's going to share his findings with you all this morning. So without further ado, I'm going to hand across to Gordon. If you do have any questions, please share them with us and we'll gather them together and I shall pose them to Gordon at the end. But for now, Gordon, over to you.
Brilliant. Thanks very much, Tom. Really appreciate that, mate. And yeah, thank you to everyone for coming along this morning. We're going to run through a few different things this morning. Obviously, keeping in line with the tone of these this webinar series that Access Group have put on, which is obviously from a remote working point of view. So it was more just a quick kind of an update from us in terms of where the market is right now. As to what we can see from where we sit in the supply chain with regards to posting jobs out to job boards, applications, etc. So going to provide you with a little bit of stats in terms of what we're seeing in the trends happening over the last few weeks. We're then going to spend some time looking at some of the features that we are encouraging our customers to use and some of the things that we've seen more engagement with over the last few weeks, again, just with the whole change and shift to remote working, etc. And then also just running through some of the reports and the insights that you guys can get out of idibu, obviously going forward now in an ever-changing landscape with regards to the sector and what it's going to look like in a few weeks' time, never mind a few months' time. So in terms of what we've seen over the last few weeks, we normally report monthly, but we've shifted our reporting to weekly at the moment so that we can actually see what's been happening. Now, what we've basically noticed is, as probably expected, is that as lockdown was introduced in the UK, back in the kind of middle of March, we started to see, even in the weeks leading up to that, we started to see a drop off in the number of jobs posted. But you can see here from between kind of week of the 18th of March through until the 8th, the 15th of April, the drop off was quite significant. And actually the drop off at one point from kind of the end of February till a couple of weeks ago was a 72% drop in the number of jobs that were posted across all of our clients, across all of the job boards. So it's quite a significant drop in the number of jobs posted. But you can see there right at the end, just last week now, unfortunately we won't get this week's reports till tomorrow, although it is still showing an upward curve. But you can see just last week alone, there was already an increase in the number of jobs posted. So we reckon we've hit that kind of bottom, if you like, round about the 15th of April. And now the number of jobs, clients are now, they've changed their way of working. They're now getting used to working remotely. Some have unfortunately had to furlough staff, etc., but they've also then been able to retain other staff. So we've now started to see an increase in the number of jobs posted, which is great news. And then on the application side of things, slightly different picture in terms of the number of applications received across that same time frame. So obviously, again, you can see there's been a downward turn in the number of applications, and kind of the fact that the same week, around about the 8th to the 15th of April, was the lowest number of applications as well. But even those applications, that 56% of applications was across, like that week was where we seen the 72% drop in the number of jobs posted. So applications, as probably expected, have stayed and remained high over that same period of time. Even when the jobs were probably dropped off to over 50%, applications were still up at 81% across all of those jobs that were being posted out at the same time. So applications have remained kind of steady, strong, and again we're seeing an upward turn again. Again, it's that same week, 8th to the 15th of April, seems to be the bottom for that, and we're seeing an increase now in the last 2 weeks of candidates coming back up, applications as well. And then just to give you a little bit of a graph, just to let you see the applications against the jobs posted, again, this just kind of puts into perspective in terms of some of the things that clients are now, our clients in terms of recruitment businesses, are now having to deal with, where they're now seeing double the amount of applications for the jobs that they're actually posting out there. So where in the past managing candidate engagement, managing candidates applying for jobs would sometimes be quite easy, now all of a sudden you've got double the amount of applications to have to try and manage for every single vacancy that you're posting out there. So again, probably no big surprise that applications have gone up and job numbers have went down, but how can recruitment businesses now kind of change how they're managing that ad response and making sure that in times now where they're now dealing with double the amount of applications, that they're still making sure that they're responding to every single applicant and making sure that all these applications are still being dealt with from a candidate engagement, brand awareness point of view. So, and that's some of the things that we've been speaking to our existing customers about. And that probably brings us on to our efficiency hub. So when everything went into lockdown around about the end of March, and obviously a lot of clients had to furlough staff, a lot of clients had to change their way of working and move to remote working, one of the first things that we did was pull together, so our account development team were very quick to react and pull together an efficiency hub for our actual customers. I just want to let you see this efficiency hub in here. So the thinking and the reasoning behind this efficiency hub is that from a customer point of view, and we're all probably guilty of this, where you go out, you buy a piece of software. So idibu helps recruitment businesses and in-house recruitment teams get jobs to job boards and manage applications. That's what we do. But we also do a lot of other things that then help with that process. But we're all guilty of buying a piece of software, plugging a gap or replacing an incumbent provider, and then actually not engaging with some of the other features that we're already paying for inside that piece of software. So we were able to look and identify areas of the system that weren't so heavily used, but might actually now come into their own, and there's a couple of those that I'm going to talk about in a few minutes. But I just wanted to let you guys see the types of things that we are doing is trying to make our customers be able to use all of the features inside idibu. Some of them, like I said, that are there and they've maybe just not engaged with them because ultimately idibu was doing what they needed it to do. It helped them get jobs to job boards, it helped them manage the applicants coming back in. Now all of a sudden they've got double the amount of applications. Now all of a sudden they're having to fight for jobs more. Is there other features that are already inside idibu that they're already paying for that could then help with that? So things like free job boards. So idibu, we don't get involved in any of the media buying, so you guys would need to have your own commercial agreements in place with the job boards that you're going to be posting to. However, we also do have a network of free job boards who, through the integration with idibu, all of our clients can post to those destinations for free. And again, a lot of our customers, some of them really engage with that network, others never looked at it because they already had their contracts in place with the few job boards that they've always worked with. So again, just introducing our clients to that free job board network, and also just other things that are in here in terms of making sure that you're going through all the talent pools and all the candidates that you've already paid good marketing dollar for, and making sure that you're utilising all of those candidates that you've already, when you've advertised previously and you've got applicants still sitting inside your idibu database, that you're able to find and search on those candidates nice and easy. But two of the actual features that we've seen quite a big increase in terms of users over the last few weeks is, one of them is the idibu mobile app, which is fully compatible with the Access CRM. So anyone who's using idibu and Access CRM together, all of those individual consultants can also engage with the idibu mobile app. Now, the idibu mobile app we only launched last year, so we've had quite a few clients that have engaged from it from day one. But the whole thing about the mobile app is that it allows you to manage all of your ad response in one place. So you can't do anything else from the mobile app. You can't post your jobs out from the mobile app. You can't manage your adverts from the mobile app. The whole thinking when we launched the mobile app last year was about making it easy for recruitment consultants to be able to process candidates on the go, was the kind of strapline that we came up for it. But ultimately, the mobile app is very simple and very straightforward to use. You download it on Android or on iPhone. You can log in there, and any applicants that you've got across all of your vacancies, as you can see here, you can then go through and process those applications. And the way that it displays the applicant to you when you click on the applicant's name, it will tell you the position that they've applied for. It will then give you their profile, so in terms of where they're based. You'll see at the bottom of this one, you've got the green, the amber and the red buttons, which we'll talk about in a little second. You've also got the option to view the CV, which would then open up this middle tab here, where you can actually then view the candidate's full CV. So everything inside the mobile app allows you to very quickly view an applicant, view the applicant's CV, and then over in the third tab here, you can see you've got the green, the amber and the red buttons. Those green, amber and red buttons allow you to very quickly then process that applicant from the mobile app. And the way that it works with Access CRM is that if you hit that green button inside the idibu mobile app, that will create a candidate record for Scott Brown in this case inside Access CRM, and it will push Scott Brown straight into the shortlist or the review list against that vacancy. So very quickly, on the go, you don't even need to be logged into Access CRM. You hit the green button in the idibu mobile app, and that candidate is now being created in the CRM and is now sitting in the review list waiting to be processed further. The amber button is very similar, but it's where the candidate's a good candidate, but you don't really want to associate them with that vacancy, but you would still like to get them into your Access CRM. So you just hit the amber button and it'll push that candidate straight into to the Access CRM, and they're sitting in there waiting for you next time you're looking for applicants or looking for candidates that have got that background. And then the red button is effectively what it suggests. It's a reject button. It's not a good candidate. We don't want them in our Access CRM because they're not actually right for this vacancy, and ultimately we would like to reject them at this stage. Now this is the part that we're seeing a massive increase right now, is in candidates applying. I've just came off a demonstration with a prospect just before this webinar, and they were telling me that they are seeing an increase in people applying for roles that they've just got no experience for, no background, but unfortunately have found themselves out of a job and are just sitting on job boards applying for every single vacancy that comes in front of them. And from an awareness point of view, from a candidate engagement point of view, I would always say that regardless of whether that candidate's applied and have got experience or not, if you guys can reply very quickly and easily just by hitting a button and make sure that that candidate's that's kept up to date, then that's what you should be doing. So ultimately, right now, what we're seeing across the board is an increase in applications. So things like the mobile app will allow your consultants to very quickly view any outstanding applicants they've got, and then very quickly process those applicants using the green, the amber and the red buttons. But that feeds in nicely then to another feature of idibu that a lot of people don't know exists, which is called our application pages. Now, these application pages, don't be confused by old school application forms. These application pages are very easy to set up inside idibu. And we've had these for a long time. So we've had these application pages for over 2 years. And the application pages are very nice to look at, very easy on the eye. I created this one last week for the purposes of this demonstration today. And you can see here that on these application pages, you can have nice little explainer videos. You can also have all your color schemes and everything in here. It's all branded, fully branded pages. Now, the great thing about these application pages is that where you've got, and the job boards have made it easy for people to sit and one-click apply, which is great. And there will be situations where you don't want to overly complicate that application process. Believe me, these application pages are not a silver bullet. However, a lot of clients are really engaging with them right now because of that number of applications they're now getting for every single vacancy they've got. So the great thing about the application pages is that rather than someone just sitting on CV Library and clicking apply because they've got a CV Library or a Monster or a Read or an Indeed account set up, and it just allows them to apply quickly, by putting an application page into the process, it means that you're driving all that traffic back to one central place. So if you post the job out on 10 different job boards and all your social media channels and on your own company website, anyone that clicks apply on any of those destinations will all be driven back to this one page, and they'll all be asked the same questions that you can set up. So they'll all have to fill in first name, last name, email address, and upload a CV. And then you can also then ask what we call killer questions. Now, these questions can be quite generic, or they can be actually really specific to that individual vacancy, because what you're wanting to try and do here is obviously scare off people who are just sitting there clicking apply on every vacancy, whether they've got the experience or not. And also, you can then, behind the scenes, when you're setting this up, you can actually say whether, if someone applies with a negative answer, then automatically reject them at that stage. So if someone applies here, so if someone filled out this form and they say, have you applied for the Access Group in the last 6 months? Yes or no is not going to reject them. So they can answer whatever they want to that question. And then the next question, how many years experience did you have working in the recruitment sector? Any of these years experience is good to know. However, if they click none, then this is, I've got this set up to automatically reject the candidate. So what will happen for the consultant in real time is that when that candidate applies, so they send their application, it won't stop them applying, still let them apply. However, it will automatically then reject them. And for the consultant who's then using idibu back inside the Access CRM, when those applications come through, rather than it coming through like this, which is what it would look like for a candidate who has applied with positive answers, anyone who's applied with negative answers, it would automatically just put them into the little rejected folder. So from that consultant's point of view, if they post a job and they get 400 applicants and 250 of those applicants have applied with negative answers, i.e. they've got no experience in the recruitment sector, they would all just get filed away into this rejected folder, and the 150 applicants who have applied with positive answers would then be in here waiting for me to go through and process, i.e. looking at their profile, making a decision based on their CV, etc., as to whether they're a good applicant, and then choosing the green, the amber, or the red button as to whether I want to then push that candidate into the shortlist, etc. So the application pages themselves, like I said, not a silver bullet, so there will be vacancies that you don't want to use them on, but again, when posting that vacancy out inside the Access CRM, then it's at that stage you can choose whether you want to include an application page or not. So you, like I say, there may be vacancies that you still don't want to include an application page on, but ultimately, when you're posting these vacancies out and you're basically, you know that you're going to be inundated with applicants, and you know that half of those applicants potentially are not going to be applicable for that vacancy, just by simply sliding an application page in there will significantly reduce the number of applicants that you've got and allow your consultants to engage with those candidates that have answered positively. So mobile app and also the application pages are two of the areas that have came out of this efficiency hub that we've now seen a much higher increase in client engagement with these features in idibu. And like I say, there's lots of other things in there when it comes to the free job boards, etc. as well. So just coming back to here, one of the other things that we wanted to have a look at was obviously on the report side of things as well. So again, everyone's always been able to use idibu from a reporting point of view. So we've got over, I think there's over 40 different reports inside idibu that all of our clients can run reports on. And again, clients can come and run reports at any time using their idibu admin area. So you can run reports across different date ranges, and you can select the reports you want to run. And you can also set those reports up as watchdogs. So you can choose to have those reports automatically sent to you daily, weekly, or monthly. So it's not something you're always going to have to then log in and remember and do inside the idibu platform. So this is the idibu admin portal that's effectively talking to your Access CRM. But from a reports point of view, again, one of the most heavily used reports across idibu generally anyway is our AppTrack status report. And this AppTrack status report actually will give you a breakdown of adverts that you've posted on individual job boards, and it'll break that down into teams or into individual recruitment consultants. So it'll show you the number of adverts that they've posted, the responses that they've had, etc. But it also shows you in here how they're actually engaging with those applicants. So how many applicants they've had and how many they've then processed through using those traffic light buttons. This unread column here, though, is effectively candidates that are unread. This is candidates that haven't been processed. So they've not been engaged with from a candidate engagement point of view. And also, they're just sitting in there. They're not in your Access CRM yet, because the good ones haven't been green or amber flagged and the red ones haven't been rejected. So again, at a time when some recruitment businesses historically have always engaged remote working anyway, but a lot of recruitment businesses haven't. And unfortunately, given the current climate, a lot of businesses have found themselves having to obviously have consultants working remotely. And this is actually one feature that would allow managers, business owners, to be able to see across teams obviously how many jobs are still being advertised, obviously the ratios in terms of applicants, but then also been able to see who's actually keeping on top of those applicants, who's processing applicants through, who's getting in and green flagging, amber flagging and red flagging, or who's actually sitting here with a number of adverts across a number of different job boards, because it'll break it out per job board, sitting with different adverts and different job boards, and not basically processing those candidates, so they're not actually going through and processing lots and lots of unread applicants. So lots of data that you can get out of this one individual report, but like I say, again, given the current climate, it's one of the things that we've seen is just managers and business owners being able to manage external consultants and been able to see are they actually going through and processing the applicants that they've got coming in to individual vacancies. So the abstract status report is just one report anyway. Another report that is also prevalent right now, but again going forward, as everyone is going to be trying to manage spend better going forward. So again, just given current climates and unfortunately businesses having to furlough staff, etc., then when we do start to emerge out of this at the other side, then people want to have a handle on where they're posting the job boards, where those posts are working and where they're not working, and how much obviously is being spent on those boards as well. So we've got other reports like the board performance reports that will give you all that performance as to how your adverts are performing in particular sectors and locations. But again, this budget report will let you actually see how much you're actually spending with individual job boards right down to consultant level, and giving you a cost per applicant, so but actually breaking it out for you, letting you see what you're actually getting for your dollar from each of the destinations that you're going to be posting to with regards to the applicants that are coming back in. But like I say, the detailed performance report as well allows you to then look at those job boards and actually decide. And one of the things that we actually flew up for us when we were speaking to a client last year is that they actually had 3 consultants posting jobs on the same job board, and they were getting completely different results. Now that agency allowed their own consultants to write their own job adverts. I know that every recruitment business works differently, but these guys were basically allowed to write their own adverts, and what we were able to identify for them, and they hadn't identified it themselves, but through our 9-monthly review that we did with them, is that they had one recruitment consultant in that team who had particularly good ad writing skills and was getting a much better response from one job board compared to the other 2 people in the team. And he was able to then train out to those other people in the team exactly how he was writing his job ads, etc. Now it sounds trivial and it sounds like, well, that should have been happening anyway, but again, just through looking at data can actually throw up different scenarios and actually highlight areas that the businesses maybe didn't even realize was happening. So the budget report will allow you to manage cost in terms of cost per vacancy right down to cost per applicant. Your performance reports, for example, will let you see how boards are performing in particular sectors and categories and locations, because it might be that one job board just isn't performing, so therefore you want to stop spending money with that job board for that particular type of role because you're just not getting the return, and continue to spend elsewhere or look at other options as well. And then things like your abstract status report, like I say, giving you a real insight into what's actually happening with every single applicant that's coming back into the business. So I've talked quite a lot there about idibu and in terms of what we have been doing over the last kind of few weeks. Like I say, it's been quite testing times for our customers. We have been working very hard with our customers to make sure that they've got everything that they need. From a sales point of view, I'm the sales director. Things have went a little bit quiet on the sales front, but it's given me a chance to look at some other areas of our business as well. But ultimately, from our point of view, we've been concentrating on our existing clients, like I said, through the efficiency hub, making sure that they've got what they need to get them through these tough times. And as I showed at the start, we're already starting to see, I think, the knee-jerk reaction to everything that happened towards the end of March has hopefully hit its low around the middle of April, and things are now starting to come back up with regards to the number of jobs that are being posted across our customer base, etc. And hopefully that will continue on an upward curve over the next few weeks to come as well. So nothing else from me that I wanted to just kind of throw into this. Hopefully you guys might have had some questions for Michelle and Dom while we've been going through. And Dominic, has anybody got any questions for us, mate?
Yes, we do. I'd just like to say thank you for your presentation there. I think it's good practice to look at the tech that you've got and really dig down and get under the surface of it, because quite clearly what you're providing your clients is there's more there than just the surface functionality of posting a job.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing, that's what everyone comes to us for. That's what everyone buys the software for, is that they know what we do. They know that we help get jobs out to job boards, and they know that we help manage those applicants coming back into the CRM, etc. But there's so much more that it does. And it's just like I say, we're all guilty of it. You get a piece of software, it does what you need it to do. But it's at times like this when you want to then get a little bit more out of it. And that's all we've been trying to do, is just make sure that people are aware, as we always tell them anyway, but it's probably just making them more aware that there is other features in it. And it could well be that agencies out there that they've not used the application pages because they've not had the need for it, which is absolutely right. There will be a lot of agencies but however, right now, with double the amount of applications and every single vacancy that they're posting, all of a sudden that little feature becomes a game changer for them, because it means that they're still only having to deal with the number of good applicants as they were previously, but it's actually filtering out a lot of unfortunately, the applicants that haven't got the skills or the experience. So yes, it has identified a lot of little features for clients that maybe knew they were there but didn't fully understand them, and are now engaging with them.
Which is, it's sensible practice across your entire tech stack, right?
Yes, exactly.
Find out what you've got, what it does, and spend some of the time that you've probably got now just to really understand the nuts and bolts of what you have, because it could save you time, could save you money, could increase efficiency. There's lots of benefits there.
Oh, definitely.
I've got a question here. It says, can users have their own login? Ethero seems to have one master logon.
Yes, users have their own login, so I'd need to understand that one more. Maybe we could take that one offline, but yeah, all users have their own logins to idibu, so I just need to understand that one a bit more.
Okay. So we'll come back to the questioner on that one.
Yes, definitely. I'll come back to them individually and address that with them. Yeah.
Okay. Next one for you. Does idibu send any kind of emails when you use the flagging system?
Yes, it does. So within the area itself, so when you're flagging candidates, like I said, you can be flagging those candidates inside the Access CRM using the traffic lights. You could be, if you're engaging with the mobile app, you could be doing it in there as well. But ultimately, anytime you click on any of these buttons inside Access CRM or inside the mobile app, providing you've got your candidate engagement set up inside idibu, which all customers would have. Sorry about this, give me a second because that's going to jump off. I'll switch that on. So all of our clients would have access to the traffic light area. So this is where you would set up your candidate engagement messages effectively. So you've got your green, your amber and your red buttons, providing you've got these switched on here. Then anytime you engage with a candidate via the Access CRM or via the mobile app, whatever message you've got set up inside the system, when you click that button, it is a true autoresponder. So it doesn't move it into a holding area, it doesn't move it into another folder where you then need to go in and remember to release those emails. It's literally a one-click process. So providing you've got the message set up inside idibu and it's switched on, then all you would do inside the Access CRM is hit that one button. In this case, it would give the candidate the message that unfortunately they've not been successful, and you won't be taking their application any further with regards to the red button. Now, all of that's customizable, so you can choose to. You might say, as I've got set up here, actually when I green flag someone, I don't want you to automatically respond to them because I'm going to get in touch with them anyway because I'm putting them into my shortlist. So some of our clients have it set up in that way, where only the amber button and the red button where you're sending a negative message, i.e. you've not been successful in your application. At that point, you don't want to have to be consultants to be spending too much time with these applicants. So just having a simple click process will allow you to be able to do that. And there is other autoresponders that are in here as well, so for everyone that applies, etc. But these are the main candidate engagements that when you're inside Access CRM and you hit these buttons, then yes, providing you've got it switched on inside idibu, it will automatically send an email straight to the candidate letting them know what's happening. And from a candidate engagement brand awareness point of view, like I say, we've always banged the drum that you should be engaging with every single candidate, good, bad, and indifferent, on every single application. And again, at this moment in time, when recruitment businesses are now seeing twice the amount of applicants for every single vacancy, if you're not using something like application pages where you're able to filter candidates out at the application stage, and you have now sitting in here with 400 applicants and where you used to have 200, then being able to just very quickly go through and red flag candidates or amber flag candidates, letting them know that they've not been successful, is a much quicker way of having to then try and make sure that you remember to engage with these applicants, because like I say, regardless of the circumstances, you shouldn't ever be in the situation where candidates are applying for a vacancy with your recruitment business and you never get back to them, because I read it every day on.
Nothing worse. Nothing worse from a candidate perspective to apply for a role and never hear back. And the knock on from that is phone calls into the consultant, is more time taken up dealing with those rejected candidates, when it can, like you say, be set up really, really simply so that they get a response immediately, and then the candidate knows, the applicant knows that they can move on to the next thing.
They can move on, exactly, and it doesn't leave you open to attack on social media. We live in a world now where it's really easy to kind of slander people and companies. So again, like I say, I see it on LinkedIn a lot where people are having a go at the recruitment sector, and it's down to little things like that where someone's applied for a vacancy and they've just not heard back. They're frustrated because they're obviously looking for a job and it's just, if you just hit that button, if you've got it set up, it's one button, one click. Your consultant doesn't need to worry about it because they know that the communications went, and like I say, albeit a negative message, at least that applicant's got something letting them know that they've not been successful. So yeah, that's a big thing, is those autoresponders on those buttons.
Yeah, high levels of communication can never be a bad thing.
Definitely
not. So I've got another one here. Can you search CV databases using idibu inside the Access platform?
Yes, you can. Again, it's not our core product, but we're mostly known for our what we call posting and tracking. So what we've talked about today, mostly in terms of posting jobs out to job boards, and managing that ad response and candidate engagement side. But inside idibu, we also have a search feature as well, which allows you to search across multiple different job boards, all delivered back inside the Access CRM as well. So when you're inside Access CRM as well now, and you click on the little search option when you're inside the idibu tab, then from here, this is where you can then be running your search across different job boards. Now, at the moment, I've only got 2 job boards plugged in here. You could have more than that. But the great thing about the idibu search feature is that not only will it search job boards from inside Access CRM, it's a true aggregated search as well. So when you actually run that search, so if you switch this on and select Indeed, select Read, and if you had more, you select each of those job boards. When you actually then come to run the search, then it will run that search across all of those job boards. So you don't need to be logging in each one individually, and you don't need to run individual searches. When you come to switch each job board on, any search criteria specific to that individual job board is displayed to you in here as well. So when you're searching Read, you would then populate all the Read search criteria that you wanted. So it's just like you're searching Read, but from inside idibu, inside Access. And the same if you click on Indeed, it would then give you the search criteria for Indeed if you had CV Library and Monster again. So you've got your generic search up here, which is just your keyword search, your radial search of the location, etc. How new the CV is, for example, and then ultimately you're then putting in the more breakdown of the actual search for the individual job boards, and you would then just search on those CV databases, and it will then return the results to you back inside Access CRM, where you can very quickly be then pushing candidates through into the vacancy or into the CRM itself. And you can see here as well that you can also make these watchdog searches. So when you actually run the search, you can then save it as a watchdog, which means that the system will then automatically, moving forward until you switch that watchdog back off again, any new candidates that upload their CV or change their CV that fall into that criteria will then be email notified to you. So again, once you've run the search, you don't then need to continually keep coming in and running it. You can save it as a watchdog, and those candidates will continue to come through to you. So yeah, so search is actually a big feature inside idibu. It's a paid for license, but ultimately it's delivering the full search experience all back inside the CRM.
And this is a question for me. I'm guessing that your customer success team can take new and existing clients through this extended functionality that we're seeing to help them.
Yeah, everything at idibu in terms of from an onboarding perspective. So you've always got one point of contact through the whole of the onboarding experience. You'll have your own onboarding manager who will do all the training. So we'll do admin training for the people who are going to be administering the idibu account, and that's all delivered inside the idibu interface itself with regards to running reports, managing user profiles, setting up and maintaining job boards, etc. So we do all the setup and we provide all the admin training, and then we also provide full user training to all the users, and we actually deliver that training as way of a conference, video conference, as we are kind of similar to today. But we deliver that inside the Access CRM as well. So we've got Access, we've got our own Access account. So we would actually deliver the training, all done inside Access, showing them how they can come in, how can they post the job, how can they manage the adverts, how can they deal with the ad response, and if they've paid for the search licenses, we would provide them in full training as to how to run a search and etc. as well. So yeah, so that's all supported by onboarding and also then maintained by the account development team moving forward.
Brilliant, brilliant. One last question for you, sir.
Okay.
How long does it take to get set up?
Surprisingly quick, and it's not just because of the circumstances. An onboarding, a usual onboarding for idibu would be a comfortable onboarding would be 2 to 3 weeks, and the reason being is we can do it very quickly. We've onboarded clients in 48 hours, but we don't want to put that in an SLA that we'll do that with everyone. So 2 to 3 weeks is a really comfortable onboarding, because ultimately there's 4 things that need to happen. One is we provision your idibu account, which is very quick, and we then need to get your job boards, social media channels, etc. plugged into idibu, which normally takes a few days in terms of our guys liaising with your team or liaising with your job board account managers in order to just maybe get third-party posting keys, etc. So we do all that set up inside idibu, and setting up the job boards and the social media channels. We also then need to plug idibu into Access, which is literally 10-15 minutes in order to get that set up. So idibu can be set up inside the Access CRM very quickly, because it's just an additional tab against a vacancy that unlocks all the idibu functionality via the iframe. And at that point, we're then ready to do the admin training, and then we'll usually deliver the user training just before go live, so that it's still fresh in the minds of the consultants when they then go in and start posting jobs out. So it's actually a really easy piece of software to implement. It's a really easy piece of software to maintain, because once it's all set up and plugged in, unless you want to change job boards or change things, it's there and it will continue to do what it does. So yeah, so 2 to 3 weeks is a very comfortable onboarding time frame for us, and we can also implement. We can also do an integration directly with your own website. So we've got people who obviously use a whole host of websites, but we're also a partner of Volcanic, which is obviously part of the Access group as well. So we can integrate Volcanic websites and any other websites, so that when you're posting out from inside the Access platform, not only are you posting out to your paid for job boards and to your social media channels, you would also be able to post out to your own company website, which would effectively just populate one of these little posting destinations here. So it's all really straightforward in terms of to set up and roll out, And
Fantastic.
back to the previous one, it's we hold your hand through that whole process. So we don't just set you up with an account and leave you to it. We really do get you up and running, so that you're up and running quickly, and then lightly we leave you to it from there.
Perfect. Right. I can't see any more questions that have come in. We will go back to that first question individually for the person that posted it.
Yes, definitely.
From me, just again, Gordon, thank you so much for taking the time today to share your thoughts and your insights. I'm sure that if we go back, there we go. There's how to get in touch with Gordon and get in touch with ourselves here at the Access Group. If you've got any questions directly for either side, please feel free. For those of you that are listening, thank you all. For those of you that are listening and are listening to this on a recorded version, thank you for taking the time. Thanks again, Gordon. And if everyone looks after themselves, stay safe, and we'll see you on the other side.
Yeah, definitely. Stay safe, guys. Thank you very much for inviting me along, guys. Access, Dom, Michelle, and yep, thank you for everyone that's joined us. Cheers.
Pleasure.
Thank you.